waste, etc., to bring on one floor when we are living on this globe. So this floor, we should to feel our own home under one roof. And my purpose of this newspaper is to educate and grow our youth in prosperity and peace. I am very thankful to Mr. Akbar and others of CPAC and Mr. Farani. They are my own good friends. Mr. Wakar, there is mosque organizers. Mr. Ayub here. To all these people, thank you Mr. Qayyum sir and madam. You are most welcome. You give me your views. It is not my property. It is your property. It is your floor. What do you want to say? I would like to patronize your thoughts.
Thank you everyone for coming up and telling us your inspirational stories. It takes a lot of effort being up here and talking to people about the great work that you do. A lot of people don't say these things in public, as the mayor said, but if they have the opportunity, they should say it in public. It will just inspire other people to do a lot more in the community. The sister sitting in the front row earlier said that there is a poetry competition or a poetry get-together coming up. And listening to all your stories, a Urdu sher comes to mind, which I usually use, and that is that Kalma, Roza, Namaz, Hajj, Zakat, sab apni jagah, khidmat-e-halq, kisi ibadat se kam nahi. So, it goes to show that as a corporation, as an industry, as a business, the more you do with the community, or if you go out there with the mindset that you want to help people, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala becomes your partner in business. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is your partner in business, you will never go wrong. Yeah? And talk to you more about the great work that one of our sponsors does. I have Brother Farani from Farani Tailors, who will speak to us about the services they offer in the community. And there's a short presentation to go along with that. So Brother Farhan, please come on.
Dear Madam Mayor, Sadiq Saab, Sameer Saab and the team of Al Rayan Bank and other distinguished guests, thank you very much for taking out time and coming today. A lot has been said about the community work, and our friend mentioned about Urdu Mushaira as well. So the theme and the mission of Pakistan, of our firm Farani Tailor, is to help the community and work with the community. So I would like to just sum this up in one verse in Urdu poetry, and it goes like this: Bas ke hoon ghalib asiri mein bhi zere aatish pa, noore aatish dida hai halka meri zanjeer ka. I think most of the people didn't understand, but now I will repeat it in another frame, which explains the real concept that all of us are together here. जिस तरह तीर निकल जाए और कमान रह जाए, लफ्ज छिन जाए और जुबान रह जाए, आओ बैठ के कुछ हाले दिल कह लें, कौन जाने फिर कहाँ निकल जाए. So the purpose of our community and the theme is to work together in the community. And if you could just give me 2 minutes, I can very well relate it to my grandmother. Like all of us have parents, but my grandmother would not throw away anything from her house. So she will collect all the old cloths, she will cut them, and she will sometimes make my socks, cap in beautiful colors. And from there I learned community work is such that you all come together, small part, small things, emotions, empathy, work one step at a time. You work together, and what you create is a beautiful thing. So, as Franny Taylor, our main theme and main work is to work with the community. Because community is everything. We represent community, we want to provide leadership to the community, and we want to be relevant to the issues of the community. And that's how this whole firm has progressed from 5 people to more than 80 people, and we have served so far more than 28,000 clients. We say that it's not an enterprise, it's a mission, and we want to continue with this mission, and we will find ways, no matter how difficult time is now, no matter what the political scenario is. If you want to help more and more people, you will find ways, you will find people who believe in this cause, and the mission of Franny Taylor will continue. So as a firm, we specialize in property law, family law, housing, crime, and naturally immigration as well. These are the core areas. We have 3 branches, and we have presence in South Hall, head office is in Central London, and we have offices in Ilford as well. And as I said, we work with the community, and wherever we can be part of a social cause, we are always there. And I'm not going to take much time, but I would like to thank Madam Mayor. During this confusing time when Brexit has caused more confusion, she has made the right decision to endorse our function today. So thank you very much. And thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much, Brother Farhan, for the introduction to your company. Next, I would like to invite Sagir Malik, who is the head of retail sales asset sales of Al Rayan Bank. He's traveled all the way from Birmingham to be here with us. He has worked for Al Rayan Bank for more than 10 years. He is a passionate promoter of Islamic finance and goes to any event that he can be part of the community all across the country, and talking and introducing what Islamic finance is, what alternative financial products that the Muslims of UK have to their disposal. So, without further ado, Sagir Malik from Al Rayan Bank.
Assalamu alaikum. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I don't really like using mics. Normally my voice is powerful enough to speak to probably double the crowd here, but not feeling well today, so I'll stick with the mic. Firstly, thank you, Lady Mayor and the rest of you who are attending today. My presentation normally is a bit longer, so I'll try to rush through as quick as possible. And as Imran mentioned, I just want to give you all an introduction to Islamic finance and also to Al Rayan Bank. So as Imran mentioned, so I've been working for Al Rayan Bank before we was even called Al Rayan Bank. So I started about almost 15 years ago. So just a quick question. Who's heard, put your hand up if you've ever heard of Al Rayan Bank before? Okay, it's good. And what about Islamic Bank of Britain? Oh, okay. So interestingly, we're actually the same bank. So we set up back in 2004 as a first bank to set up from scratch in over 50 years. And we also happen to be a fully Islamic bank called Islamic Bank of Britain. And so not only are we now still the oldest Islamic bank in the country, but we're also the largest. Back in, I think, 2013 or 14, we were taken over by another bank called Mashaf Al Rayan, which happens to be a Qatari bank. So we're still a UK bank with a UK banking license, still regulated by PRA and FCA like every other bank in the country. But our owners, our shareholders, happen to be overseas. Now, just a quick quiz. Do you know of any other UK bank that's UK based and UK regulated, but is owned by a bank from another country?
Why?
Yeah, HSBC, yeah, very good. Do you know what HSBC stands for?
Hong Kong and China.
Yeah, that's right, Hong Kong Shanghai Banking Corporation. So it's not a UK bank, just happens to be owned by foreign investors, same as us. So I'll talk a bit more about that. So I'm just going to give you a brief history of the bank, who we are, what we do, and then we'll go into talking about what makes Islamic finance different and what makes us different, and how what we do is linked to the community. And this is why I think they invited me here today, because this is a community event. It's talking about how our organisations work with the community. And I'm very passionate about that because that's a big part of what we do. So we'll go through the history, but this is just the current position of where we are. So currently we have a size roughly about £2.5 billion. But we're actually one of the fastest growing banks in the UK. So as you can see, our growth is 67% on an annualised basis and 43% asset value. Forget all those numbers, but the key point is that we're growing at a ridiculously fast rate, which makes us one of the fastest growing banks in the UK. Unlike other banks, you see which are shrinking, closing branches and so on, we're actually growing at a very good rate. So there are three areas to the bank. One is retail, which is the area that I manage, and specifically within that, I look at a bunch of strands, where the Islamic mortgages. So we offer savings accounts and so on, that's our retail. We also have a business banking arm, and then we've got a private bank as well, which is based in High Street, which deals with commercial customers looking for finance and also customers from the GCC. So we have 14 branches and agencies across the country, full telephone banking, internet banking, and so on. So I won't bore you too much with that information. Let's go into history, which is one of the things I'm really proud of. So Moody's is a credit reference agency. They give credit ratings. So the UK is a country with a credit rating. And very large organisations have credit ratings, and especially banks have credit ratings. I think the interesting thing is that our credit rating, AA2, which might not mean a lot, actually. The most impressive thing about it is our credit rating is better than any bank in the country. So our credit rating is better than any high street bank you've heard of, which makes us an extremely safe bank to bank with. And the reason why our credit rating is so high, mainly, is because of how we bank. And in basic terms, what makes us an Islamic bank is what's actually made us have the highest credit rating of any bank in the country, is because we don't get involved in extremely risky stuff. What we do might sound very boring, but it's actually very safe. It's to a point where we helped the UK government launch a £1 billion Islamic bond called Sukuk. So, HMS Treasury right now has £1 billion worth of Islamic finance transaction running around. And we're also working with loads of other organisations. You'd be shocked, actually, that the Islamic finance industry across the world is in the trillions of pounds. And the UK is one of the largest Islamic finance centres outside of the Middle East and Malaysia. And a lot of that was to do with us coming in back 15 years ago as a solely standalone Islamic bank. So, what is different and what actually makes Islamic finance what it is? This is a kind of key part. Now, I'd like to ask that if you have any questions, and I'm sure you will, and hopefully you will, I've got about 4 or 5 staff members here, and I'll still be here after the presentation as well, so please feel free to come up to me and my colleagues to ask any questions you like. So I won't go into too much detail and so on, because I know we want to keep this short today, but the crux of it is that there's a prohibition of interest within Islamic finance, and those prohibitions are in the Quran and also in Hadith. So the basics of it is money in Islam has no intrinsic value on its own. It's just a mode of exchange. So because it has no intrinsic value, you can't make money on it. So if you have an asset, like this clicker here, is an asset, it's got a value, I can sell it for a profit, and I'm allowed to, so if I bought it for £10, I can sell it for 50, and I can make money on that. Money itself is just a mode of exchange. So from an Islamic point of view, you can't just give money to somebody and ask them more money back. Yeah? And that's the basics, and the essence of riba itself. Also, for Islamic finance, there's a requirement for ethical conduct. So what we do as a bank has to be ethical. So let me just give an example of it. So how most banks make money, other than mortgages and interest and so on, is they get you to invest money with them, and then they'll use your money, including us, and invest that money in other assets and other things, and buy and sell other stuff and make money on it. But what you'd be surprised to know is, and maybe not, that most of the banks in this country use your money from savings accounts and so on and invest it in things that Muslims find unethical and also haram. So actually most banks will invest your money in companies that buy and sell alcohol, in gambling companies, pornography companies, and worst of all for me, are armory companies, companies that make weapons. We don't do any of that at all. So we don't invest any of your money in tobacco, alcohol, pornography, gambling, or armory companies. So ultimately, we don't deem them as ethical. At the same time, not Sharia compliant. Also, there has to be an avoidance of excessive uncertainty. So we can't gamble with your money, and we can't go into kind of things like futures and so on. I'm going to explain that to you, anybody wants to know, because of the extreme uncertainty in it. Now, this is the final part I want to talk about before we go into exactly how the product works. So I mentioned about the ethical requirements of Islamic banks. The Islamic banks aren't just there to kind of do transactions and so on, without interest in it. There's a lot more than that makes them Sharia compliant. But there's also ethical conduct in how we treat our staff and how we treat the community as well. And at the core of our bank, are these values in it. So firstly, we're a living wage employer. So for the one people that don't know that, everybody's probably heard of the minimum wage, which is a legal requirement that you have to pay people. The minimum wage. I'm sure a few groups got together and basically decided actually that the minimum wage just isn't enough to give people a basic level of honour and respect. And that's when the living wage was basically came up and it's widely recognised. The living wage in London, so I'm not sure if Croydon is out of London or not, in Birmingham, so they're ignorant there. But in London, the living wage is I think £20,000 or £19,500. The bare minimum you have to pay. Now most organisations, especially most large organisations in this country, do not pay £19,000, £20,000 for their minimum wage workers. We do. So the lowest paid staff that you could probably imagine, maybe a cleaner or a receptionist, in our bank, in London, gets paid over £20,000. Now sadly, that's more than a lot of imams that I come across the country. So ultimately, I deem myself as probably one of the most professional Muslim organisations in the country, and with our responsibility, we like to be the bastion and lead from the front, and this is one of the key things that when I go out, especially the masjids, I try to promote that at least we pay the imams who are supposed to be our community leaders a fair wage, and a fair wage really should be at least a minimum wage or a living wage. Also, this is a key one for me, and this is one I think we get the most publicity on, is a key form of income for a lot of banks making money on penalties. So if you were to miss a payment, a bank will charge you a penalty and will make quite a lot of income from it. And there was a bank, I won't mention which one, about 4 or 5 years ago, which was actually owned by the government, to bail them out, where a paper was leaked, where they had a paper called, a paper specifically, a strategy paper on how can they maximize earning fee income from charging penalties to customers. So they had a whole strategy on how can we maximize the income, how can we almost encourage customers to fall into a position where they're paying penalties so they can earn more money. Now, one of the core things with Orion Bank is, and this is from a Sharia point of view, is we can't make any money from penalties at all. So if you miss a monthly payment, for whatever reason, we won't charge you a penalty at all. If you miss a second monthly payment, and you prove to us that it's because you're in financial difficulty, which to be fair, if anybody, I've not come across anybody where they've missed a second payment and they're not being in financial difficulty, we will still not charge any penalties ever. But interesting, what happens is we've got a section of customers from the GCC, very wealthy, who do miss payments, because they're very busy and not as organised maybe because of the fact that they transfer money over from the GCC and so on. Now for them, as a deterrent, we're allowed to charge a penalty, but we are not allowed to keep any profit from that. So to give an example, if we charge £20 for a penalty, but it costs us £5 to administer it, we'll keep the £5 because that's how much it costs to administer, and the £15 we give away to charity. Now that information is audited by the regulators and also audited by a Sharia committee as well. It's a double audit to make sure we're doing that. We've done for 15 years. So literally, it's not in our interest to charge any penalties to any customers. And we're the only bank that I'm aware of that does that. But only one, that, I'm sure the other Islamic banks that do as well. So basically, only the Islamic banks in the country practice that. Also, it's a key one here. So I'm not sure if anybody works in banking here, but unfortunately there's been a big trend recently where banks have become quite strict with charities. So they stopped opening up charity accounts and they made it extremely difficult. Now, for quite a small bank, we're only 2.5 billion compared to, like maybe $500 billion compared to the larger banks. We have over 600 charities that bank with us, mainly Muslim and also non-Muslim charities. And we don't make any money from them. We provide free banking for all charities. And not only that, we support a lot of charities with donations and sponsoring for events and so on. And lastly, I don't want to spend too much time on this one, but we encourage volunteer work for charities on a massive way. So somebody mentioned earlier, I think the Lady Mayoress and one of the sisters mentioned that they work with fostering. Actually, some of the staff members of the Al Rayan Bank are part of the board of My Muslim Charity, My Muslim Family, which is some new fostering charities to encourage Muslims to come on board, to foster and also to get them through the project as well. So I'm trying to say, of all the direct reports I have, which are roughly about 30, at least, every single one of them at least volunteers in one charity, or is actually on the board or trustee of charities as well. And that's quite unheard of in other organizations, where almost every staff member that we have is part of them. Okay, so the basics of, here we go. So I won't bore you too many numbers. This is basically, so we have savings accounts. So don't worry the fact that you can't see anything. The red, so these are the top 10 savings of different types of products. As you can see, we come across on the top of the list for most of them. So actually, we pay higher rates for our savings accounts than most banks in the country. And actually, we're top of the table in 3 different savings accounts, which actually means, interestingly, that 95% of our new customers coming aboard are actually not Muslim. They're coming aboard either because we're ethical or because we have the best rates in the country. This is the basics of how our home finance works. Basically, with a conventional mortgage, you go into a bank to get a mortgage. Effectively, the bank just lends you money, and you have to pay that money back with interest. Yeah? And you buy, and with that money, with that money, you buy the property ultimately. So you own the property and you pay back the loan. But with Al Rayan Bank, we don't lend you any money at all. Instead, what we do is we buy the property and sell it back to you for the price that you bought it for. And then how we make our money is we rent out our share of property. Anyway, that's it for my part. Look, I won't go into all the details about how our products work and so on, but hopefully you found that a bit interesting, and it'll be, hopefully it will come up to either myself or some of our colleagues and ask us questions. Thank you.
Thank you for the introduction of Al Rayan Bank, Sagir. Usually, Sagir, we usually give him half an hour, and he covers quite a lot of areas. Today we cut him short because we have to be out of here by 9:30, 10 o'clock, and 10 o'clock, and we would like to feed you as well. So what I would do is, at this moment, I will ask Tamkeen Sahab to come up on the stage again. There are some awards to give out by the mayor, and we'll do those, and then we'll invite a few more people. Yeah.
Also, I've neglected my friend here as well. Please make a point of it. Muhammad Sadiq, councillor for Sutton, was ex-mayor for Sutton, and first time in history he's been elected as mayor again for Sutton. So a big hand for Councillor Muhammad Sadiq, ex-mayor of Sutton and mayor again, inshallah. And Sutton is a white area, and he's a Muslim, and I was going to say dark, but he's brown. So sir, just a few words and then we'll give the certificates and we'll have some food, yes? Because I think everyone is hungry. Give some certificates. So, Al Rayan and Bryony Taylor would like to give some certificates.